What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 21. We're starting today's episode off on the back of a thrilling comeback victory against Newcastle United in the second leg of the EFL Cup semi-final. You know, obviously it was an incredible comeback, an incredible fight back. The fact it wasn't even my best comeback of the season kind of sums up what this season has been all about. Yes, the comeback kings, Everton do it once again to reach Wembley. For the second time in 2 years, last year FA Cup semi-final, knocked out of course by the team we faced for the first game today, Liverpool at Wembley. This time we're going to a cup final, though, domestic cup final for the first time in over 15 years, taking on Manchester United. So, first game of today's episode was indeed the Merseyside derby. You would have seen right before the game, though, there was a bit of Demarai Gray wanted by RB Leipzig. Now, Demarai Gray, to be fair, did spend a brief period of time playing in Germany. He left to Bayer Leverkusen, but he was only there for like half a year or a full year possibly, but for a very brief period of time anyway. So if I'm going to sell Demarai Gray, first of all, it's not going to be this season because he's been a really good squad player for us this year. And last year, of course, he was one of the top assist makers in the league, and he's still been quite important coming off the bench for me this season as well. So it won't be this season, and if I am going to sell him, I think I'd probably prefer to keep him in England for the realism anyway. Again, I don't think he'd be against moving back out, possibly to Germany, maybe somewhere like Italy, I don't know. But I think realistically, he'd be more likely to move on to another Premier League side. Anyway, yep, Merseyside derby, first game of today's episode. Back-to-back wins for the Toffees. Lord, did we need it after a really tough run of form. But unfortunately, Liverpool aside, we are still yet to pick up our first Merseyside derby victory. And yeah, this is our fifth attempt, and it wasn't going to be fifth time lucky if you were. In fact, it was going to be the worst kind of loss we could have. A loss where we did very little, apart from one chance right before the break with Alisson making a save. 2 goals to the Reds, one which I really feel as though Pickford should have saved. I mean, we've seen this year how Pickford has been instrumental to our form and the reason why we have been a top 10 team, going for a European place and getting to the Carabao Cup final. But that second goal there, you know, we talked about this before. Jordan T-Rex arms Pickford. How did he not stop that Fabinho shot? I've got no idea. It was not right in the corner. It was very close to his body, and yet somehow it appeared as though Pickford was at full stretch, and yet he still couldn't get anything on it. Nothing you can do about the Darwin Núñez goal earlier on, though, but even so, 2-0 lost the final score, and I can't really blame Pickford too much. Yes, he probably could have saved that second shot there, but to be fair, you know, I've said this before, you live by Pickford, you die by Pickford. Pickford's won me a lot more points than he's lost for me this season, and I'm not blaming him for the loss in that game whatsoever. Anyway, as transfer deadline day would come around, you would have seen DCL also went down in that Merseyside derby, out for 4 weeks. Disappointing injury there. Deadline day came round, and with around £20 million in the budget. Now, I wanted a new centre-half because we've just sold James Tarkowski. He's gone to Spurs. We have leaked quite a lot of goals this season, and I was thinking, okay, I've got a few names on the shortlist right now that I'd really like. The one I really wanted was Levi Colwill, obviously out on loan at Huddersfield, now out on loan at Brighton in real life. But in the game, he's just forever alone. He's like me. He's forever alone, and now he's gone out on loan to Genoa in Italy. So I couldn't get him, so I thought, okay, how about this? Tosin Adarabioyo's just been approached, and it looks as though he's going to leave Fulham come the end of the day. And I said, how about instead of going to France, you stay in England and you come back up to the northwest. Tosin Adarabioyo, product of the Manchester City Academy, born in Manchester as well, local lad. He was actually heavily linked to Everton before he moved on to Fulham permanently. He's a very physically strong centre-half, but despite that being the case, he's also quite comfortable on the ball as well. He's the sort of player that, you know, really, he's got the kind of the makings of being an old school centre-half, but he's also got some really good modern game capabilities as well. He's good enough to pass out from the back. You see the glitch here after I gave him the contract. And Tosin Adarabioyo is in for, I think it was just shy of £15 million plus, and Nkunku as well. And Nkunku, obviously, he's out of contract come the end of the season. I wasn't going to give him a new deal, and I'm definitely thinking about bringing in a new left back anyway, because Vinagre hasn't really done anything for me this season and isn't developing at all. Such a shame as well. I thought he'd be a pretty good bargain from Sporting. Now I can see why they decided to sell him. But even so, Adarabioyo in again for around 15 mil plus Nkunku, and I'll definitely take that. Again, he was heavily linked to Everton a few years ago before he moved on to Fulham permanently. He's done a good job there, but with Fulham right now, only 2 wins all season long, looking quite likely they're going to go down. I thought that made a lot of sense as well. Looking to jump ship and not go down to the Championship, we said, don't worry, you can stay in the Premier League with us. So, following the signing there, well, this was great to see. Yes, finally. I said if we were going to sell someone in this window, really, there's only one man I was happy to sell for sure. And he is going to go back to St Etienne. Now, he had another bid from Sevilla, but I decided to let that stall because I wanted to get into St Etienne. I thought it was more realistic than Sevilla. Not unrealistic for him to go to Sevilla, but of course he played for St Etienne before coming to England when he moved on to Brentford. Neil Maupay, who has been absolutely trash for me since the save began, and this kind of statistic sums up how bad Neil Maupay has been for me. He scored more goals against Football League sides than he has against Premier League sides in this save. Most of his goals have come in the Cup. Practically all of his goals have come in the Cup. He scored more goals against the likes of Forest Green Rovers and Hull City than he has against Premier League sides. So St Etienne put the bid in. And you know me, normally I'm like, when a bid comes in, I'll try and squeeze in an extra $1 million. I'll try and squeeze in an extra $2 million. I didn't even bother negotiating. I wasn't even going to gamble it. I was like, St Etienne, you want Neil? How much you paying? Don't even need to let me know. You can have him. You can take him. I'll drive him to the airport myself, and I ain't even got a driving license. I do not care one bit. I've got to get this guy out. So, yeah, Maupay goes for 10 mil. Just didn't work, and even though it's only half of what Everton paid for him when he came from Brighton, of course, £20 million. Listen, I'm not joking. I would have sold him for 5. I would have sold him for 5. He's been absolutely trash for me. 18 months left in his contract. Whatever I can get, I'm happy to sell. So, following the sale there, we had a little bit more money remaining as Maupay goes back to France, and I decided to bring in a new left back. Now, I said a moment ago there, obviously, I gave him Nkunku to Fulham. He was out of contract coming the end of the season. Michaelenko, he's still my first choice left back. I really like him a lot, but at 81 overall, he might possibly leave in the summer, but Ruben Vinagre, so disappointed about him. He's just not developed at all. And to be fair, he's not had that much game time, but he's still a young-ish defender at 24 years old, but he's not really developed at all. And I thought with Fulham right now, again, only 2 wins all season long, possibly going down to the Championship, I quite like the idea of them possibly doing a rebuild there at Craven Cottage if they are to go down. And Marco Silva said, well, if we're going to lose Adebayo, we're going to lose someone else in our back line as well. Anthony Robinson. I said I was in the market for a new left back, and for $9.25 million, the English-born, born in Milton Keynes actually, not far away from where I grew up, born in Milton Keynes, now represents America on the international stage. And interesting fact about Anthony Robinson: Everton Academy graduate. Yep, came through the Everton youth system. Had a good loan spell at Wigan Athletic as well. Now at Fulham, we've decided to sign him for $9.25 million. Just like Tosin Adebayo, only 18 months remaining on his contract. Fulham possibly looking to start the rebuild early if they are to go down to the Championship, and we bring him as a replacement for Nkunku. Far better than a Frenchman, only a couple of years old. It could still get a little bit better as well, and the American defender is in for £9.25 million. I say he's in. He's back. He's back at Goodison Park. So really pleased with that. And obviously, quite helpful knowing he's a homegrown player as well, being an academy graduate. So, for a following game, Southampton at Goodison Park here, and you would have seen the fixtures coming in February. Only the 3 games, but the biggest one, of course, right at the end of the month. Carabao Cup final against Manchester United. But before we get there, we've got to get back to winning ways in the Premier League. Right now, in the top 10 still, but desperately trying to cling on to a European place. DCL down for 4 weeks. He should come back for the Carabao Cup final, but with Maupay gone, but I was okay with that anyway. Dele Alli now, he's really carried us at times this season, and he'll need to do so for the following 2 games. In for the clash against the Saints, who of course just sacked Nathan Jones. Right decision in my opinion. I don't think it was that bad, or quite as bad as, Bob Bradley back in the day from Swansea City, but yeah, he definitely should have been sacked in my opinion. Just a wrong decision in my opinion to hire him anyway. But anyway, taking on Southampton here. Dele Alli, once again, 8th goal of the season. Man, I cannot tell you how good this guy's been, man. It's unbelievable. His redemption arc has been incredible, and he gets us the opening goal. Fair enough, it was a tap-in, but even so, did really well. And then right before the break, well, if you don't succeed, try again. Dele Alli, Eric Dyer, another former Spurs boy, heads in this cross here to make it 2-0. Had a header from close range denied earlier, but that time, bullet header past the goalkeeper for his 2nd goal of the season. So Toffees 2, Saints 0. Surely 3 points in the bag here at Goodison Park, and returning to winning ways for our 3rd win in 4 games. Pickford made a great save there later on to keep it at 2-0, and then Well, this was really frustrating. Trying to pass out from the back, man. Honestly, there's times where I really have no one to blame but myself. That was awful. I took way too long to get the ball forward there. Eric Dyer dispossessed from behind and eventually turned in from close range by Orsic. Thankfully, it will prove to be nothing other than a consolation goal. Streak of games without clean sheets continues, but we do bounce back on the back of the loss against Liverpool. 2-1 win there against Southampton to keep us in 7th place as we continue our hunt for a European place for the following season. And for our final game of today's episode, right before the Carabao Cup final, the week before against Spurs here, taking on Tottenham Hotspur. Right now in 2nd place, going for the title. Well, wasn't expecting much here in North London. But to be fair, this season we have had a couple of scalps already. So taking on Spurs, hoping for the best. 7 minutes in. Well, I thought, okay, this is going to be a long old night. You know those games where you just start off and you're getting absolutely dominated? Like, if you've barely had time to kick off and you're already surrendering chances on your goal. Yeah, first the woodwork rattled, then Kane denied by Pickford, and 39 minutes in, oh, what a story this would have been. Dele Alli back at Spurs, almost finding the opening goal, denied as it was still 0-0. But on the stroke of the hour mark here, I thought, you know what, we had a chance there, and I played a bit of a different strategy in this game as well. Now, normally I'm all about fast-paced, high-tempo, counter-attacking football, but in this game I decided to play at a really, really slow pace and just try and keep holding the ball as much as I could, dominate possession in this game here, mainly to burn as much clock as possible and try and see out a 0-0. But 67 minutes in, after a lovely build-up, well, how about this for a story? Conor Gallagher plays an absolutely sensational 180 through ball into the middle, and James Garner, the former Red Devil, gets his 2nd goal of the season from close range, and Everton lead in North London. Spurs 0, Toffees 1, and we should have made it 2 in stoppage time. Damari Gray denied by Lloris, but final score 1-0. Everton go to North London and win, and for our 3rd scalp this season we add Spurs to the list as we beat them away from home by a goal. So you see the stats here as well. That's what I mean. The dominated possession in this game, absolutely dominated. Changed my strategy from going from quick counter attacks, high tempo, really quick play, more direct. Instead, it just conserved energy, kept hold of the ball as well as I could, and in the end I feel like the change of play style turned out to be a great decision. 1-0 the final score, what a win, and 4 wins in 5 for Everton. Yep, terrible run of form, we're finally back on track. We're now 10 points behind Man City in 4th, 12 games to go. I don't think we're going to get the top 4, but it's still very tight in the race for a Europa and Europa Conference League spot. We still have a fantastic chance of qualifying for Europe next season after a great bounce back in terms of form. 4 wins in 5, great run of form, and hopefully we can take it in to the Carabao Cup final. Yep, that'll be our next episode. So thank you for watching this one, guys. Thank you for watching indeed. Hope you enjoyed. If you like, much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you for the next episode of the Realistic Career Mode, the Carabao Cup final against Manchester United, going for our 1st major honour very soon.